Welcome to our live reaction of round one of the 2024 NFL draft. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, and the super duper ugly. And man, there's a lot of ugly. There's a lot of random stuff we're going to talk about. I do want to say that this live show is brought to you by the Jank Barbecue, best barbecue in Texas. Go in the link down below if you'd like to make a purchase. It don't matter if you live in Ghana, Australia, Germany, Canada. It ships all around the world. Best barbecue in Texas. Man, I got the squad with me, man. I got Mike Williams and Adrian Soup Campbell, man. Let's talk about the first overall pick. Obviously, Caleb Williams is no shocker at all. Jaden Daniels. What'd you guys think about that pick, man? I
saw that coming.
Yeah, saw it coming, man.
That was like the easiest prediction, I think, and I think they got a lot of pressure. One of my buddies is a Bears fan, Donnie. Shout out Donnie because he watches occasionally as well. But he said the offensive coordinator has a lot of pressure because they got a lot of weapons. Like they got a lot of weapons on that offense. So,
absolutely, man. I ain't gonna lie, man. Shout out to Eric Wren. We dropped a mock draft together the other day, and you see all these X's on my screen. These are all the picks I got wrong. I did a terrible job. I got like 3 right, guys. But I had Marvin Harrison going to the Patriots, but
no,
it was stupid. I was just wanted to.
Yeah, there was no way. There was no way. He was an Arizona Cardinal. The moment we knew that the 3 quarterbacks are coming 1, 2, 3, there was no way Arizona was going to move off, especially given what they have out there in terms of receiving talent in Arizona. Yeah. They're going to try to, since they're sticking with Kyler with that big contract that he has, they got to give him every chance that they can to succeed with this new coach, this new regime. Yeah. So the plan is get him protected, get him weapons. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You know what I'm excited about, though, man? I know for those who don't know, Soup is a Rams fan, so he does not want to see that division get better. But, man, Marvin Harrison to that team, man. He's 6'4" version of his father. Some would argue that he has a better college tape than his father had and could develop into something better than his father. So to think that something like that is going to go to the Cardinals, man, who knows? Maybe one day they'll say Larry Fitzgerald. Who knows?
Doubtful. Larry's a legend in Arizona. We're not going to even pretend to disrespect him, and I'm not. And don't get me wrong, Marvin Harrison had terrific college tape. We have no reason to believe that he's not going to be successful in the NFL. We know that he comes from really successful NFL pedigree legacy, right? What his father was able to do. But this is not the same system that his father walked into. It's not the same coach. It's not the same quarterback. Kyler and Peyton are 2 completely different things. There's a lot that they have to fix in Arizona. There's a lot that they're still figuring out in Arizona. I don't think that Marvin Harrison Jr. is not going to have success out there, but a lot of his success, just as with, I feel like I'm saying like the easy button thing, but a lot of a receiver's success is really dependent upon what the offense looks like and who's throwing him the ball. Now, you do have some people that are going to win in spite of all of that, but I'm talking about to really have these prolific Hall of Fame careers. It's really going to matter who's going to be throwing him the ball. Can Kyler be more than what he has been? Can they finally get an offense implemented out there in Arizona? Those are the questions that are going to have to get answered over this next season.
Yeah, and I do like the pick, Doug, because like Soup does bring a good point about who's passing the ball, but I can tell you like Kyle McCord is not a third of the passer as Kyler Murray. And I think, Marvin Harrison went bananas this year with a very mid quarterback who probably won't be a day 1 or maybe 2 pick. So I think Kyler in that offense, worst case, he's going to go up and get the ball. That dude can separate. I think Malik Neighbors would have been a better pick at that position for him. But I completely understand Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a little part of me because remember that they were saying not too long ago that Marvin Harrison Jr. He didn't want to be an Arizona Cardinal. So I'm thinking Chargers, guys. Now we got 29 people in the audience, man. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to one of the livest shows on the internet. Thank you guys. Hit that subscribe button. But man, right now we're talking about Marvin Harrison to the Cardinals. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Do you guys think that's something that can be successful, man? I want to hear what the people got to say. I'm going here to the chat. Yeah, man. So Let's see what you guys got to take and say. Now, what kind of success when it comes to fantasy football do you think that Marvin Harrison Jr. could take and have for the Cardinals, man? What are some of you guys' expectations?
He's. I mean, I would expect him to go relatively high in drafts in terms of people that are picking receivers. Because I'm not going to sit here and tell bold-faced lies like Kyler Murray can't sling the ball. We know that he can sling the ball downfield, and he buys plenty of time with his feet. I think that Arizona has done a better job of getting him some protection. And Marvin Harrison, if he don't do anything else, he's going to get open. But even more than him getting open, right? Because he's not exactly a burner type receiver, but he's physical. He's physical, at the point of the catch. So he's gonna body some of these corners. If you want to take the ball away from him, you're gonna have to put a body on him. I would think he's gonna do numbers. I can't imagine that Arizona is making that pick thinking that, oh, we're gonna put our offense through the ground when we've got Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison. He's probably gonna do crazy numbers in fantasy, assuming everybody stays healthy.
Yeah. I think he'll put up a respectable. I mean, receiver is one of the positions in fantasy where you can come in as a rookie and really ball out. That's one of the few that we see. That running back sometimes. Quarterback normally doesn't. Obviously, CJ Stroud was an exception, but I think Marvin Harrison will come in there. He'll obviously be their number one receiver. 6'4" guy, 205. He probably, if he would have ran around a 4 or 5-ish, that range. So it's not like he's a speed demon, but he definitely is a route runner, very physical. There's not really 50-50 balls. He makes those 50-50 balls like 70-30. So he's a guy that I think is a hell of a pickup for them in the offense that they're looking at vertical offense. So
yeah, absolutely, man. Now, a big shocker for me today, a big shocker. Now, I initially had Rome Odunze going to the LA Chargers. They got Mr. Alt. Now, I love that pick, man, because for Justin Herbert, he got smacked around and eventually did get injured. Are you guys shocked by that pick?
No. I'm a Michigan fan. So for those of y'all that don't know, I'm a Michigan fan, and I've watched Jim Harbaugh build teams over and over again. I had to watch him come into the division when he took over with the 49ers. And the first thing that Jim Harbaugh does anytime he gets anywhere is he builds up an offensive line because he plays a very physical style of offense. Typically, one that they want to push you around at the point of attack. They want to get the ground game going. And he still has that philosophy, right? Like, that if we maul you up front and we do good with pound you with this relentless running game, you're going to be too exhausted to compete with us over the top. So it's no surprise that with Harbaugh, now the head coach over there, he wants to retool that offensive line, put some aggression into what has been a lackluster unit, protect their big investment back there in Justin Herbert. The weapons will come later. And I think when you're looking at this draft, Mike, you and I talked about it ad nauseum leading up to the draft. This is just another good draft for receiver. You're going to be able to pull receivers out of quite a few rounds, especially day 1 and day 2. There's plenty of quality receivers that he can go ahead and get. These offensive tackles, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of quality ones there. But if you have a chance to get what a lot of people are considering the best offensive tackle in this draft, and if not the best, the most NFL ready to plug and play today, I don't see it's not a bad move. It's a typical Jim Harbaugh move.
Yeah, I mean, Doug, I would say, man, like, I am surprised because of the fact that they need receivers so bad, and they don't need a left tackle, and Joe Alt play a left tackle. I think he's a guy that can transition from left tackle to right tackle, but they got Rashawn Slater. This is going into his 3rd year, Pro Bowl left tackle when he was healthy. Like, he had a little bit of an injury, but Joe Alt is a guy that you could put at your left tackle, and you got to book in for, a bunch of time, but they're doing something similar to the Lions, right? The Lions drafted Penei Sewell, who would have been a phenomenal left tackle prospect, put him at right tackle. The reality is they might have the best tackle duo in the NFL now, if Joe Alt is what he's expected and if Rashawn Slater stays healthy. So, again, Jim Harbaugh always builds through the line, but I thought they would have got a receiver like Rome Odunze or Malik Neighbors there, and then top of the 2nd round, there was plenty of right tackles that could have plugged in and done well for what they're doing, but like Justin Herbert's going to be like the quarterback that that meme that was up. He threw it and ran and they got to have somebody to throw the ball to, man.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Mike. I was thinking too, because just as it's deep, and dare I say this is the deepest wide receiver draft in the last decade. Maybe I'm wrong. Time will tell, but that's just my opinion. But it's also very deep in the trenches, more so on the offensive side of the ball. But there's great offensive linemen. I mean, there's starters you could find like Donovan Jennings, who's a friend of the show. he'll be hanging out potentially round 3, round 4. You know what I mean? So, yeah, little shock there for sure. Moving on to the Giants, man. Now, I had Giants getting Drake May. Obviously, I was super freaking wrong. Giants ended up going with Malik Neighbors, which I actually love that pickup for the Giants. If you're an Eagles fan, you hate it. Cowboys, Commanders, you hate that pick. But what are you guys' thoughts about, man, Neighbors, man? Do you think he's really going to pan out? Do you think he's really that guy?
I think he's that guy, but the person under center in New York is not. So it is what it is. I think this is the Giants trying to salvage that ugly contract that they gave Daniel Jones, knowing that they shouldn't have paid him, but they went ahead and did it anyway. We're going to see if they end up playing QB carousel again this season. I have a feeling they probably will. Don't be surprised if tomorrow they take a quarterback, probably looking at somebody like a Spencer Rattler type to challenge Daniel Jones. They're not happy with what they got in Daniel Jones, but it's a mess of their own creation. So with them moving off of Saquon Barkley, who they should have paid over Daniel Jones, they need weapons, right? They got to do something, and he instantly becomes the most talented offensive weapon on that entire franchise. So it's a good pick. It's a rough situation for a rookie wide receiver coming into an organization that kind of looks rudderless right now on offense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Real quick, we got a comment. Shout out to Lord Charles, man. Eves, what's going on, man? How you doing, brother? We got hate the chop pick, Chop Robinson. He hates the pick. I'll be honest with you, man. So I posted on my my YouTube short. I like the pick, but let's be real. Jerzon Newton, aka Johnny Newton, was on the board.
Hey, real quick, Doug.
Yeah,
the Bills just traded out of the first round. The Panthers are back on the clock for the final pick tonight.
What? Oh, they're making some moves, man.
I think they're gonna take Ladd McConkey.
Yeah, because Ricky Parasol just went to the 49ers.
Lord help mercy.
And Doug, circling back around to Lord Charles, and again, shout out to him for that comment. I'm kind of in that vein, and I was talking to Doug before we started. Like, they got Bradley Chubb, traded for him, paid him well. Jalen Phillips, healthy as a dog. Now he's had the injury, so I get it. But and again, you can't have too many pass rushers, but you can't have 3-4 on the field at the same time on first down. Like, his run defense needs a little bit of work. He's not better stopping the run than either one of those two, but I also think he has a much higher pass rushing upside than those other two. I'm just curious because they paid Bradley Chubb, they picked up Jalen Phillips for fifth-year option. I don't think it made sense, but they got a plan, and I trust the coaching. And then circling back around to that Malik Neighbors, like, I think that's the best receiver they've had unquestionably since OBJ. That's the best receiver they've had since then. And realistically, Brian Daboll did have a good first year with him there, and then he got hurt last year. So we'll see what happens, but I think this is my favorite time of year, Doug, the draft.
Amen, brother. I'm right there with you. Before we move on to our next topic, which is the Tennessee Titans, we're going to talk about that because I got a lot to say. I'm going to need everybody, if you don't mind, if you be so kind, it costs you absolutely nothing. Hit that subscribe button, man. We got 62 people in the house. Also, comment where you're from. Let us know what part of the country or what part of the world that you're from and what your favorite team is. And then we're going to do our best to reach out to everybody in the comments section. Let's get into it. Titans, man. The Tennessee Titans on the board. Now, I had them in my super duper wrong, and I only got 3 right, embarrassingly. My super duper wrong mock draft, I had them getting Joe Alt. Obviously, he didn't go there. But the Titans went with J.C. Latham, and I love that pick, man. Do you guys like this pick, man?
They're going to need it if they're going to stick with the guy who puts mayonnaise in his coffee.
Yeah.
That's wild. That's still a wild thing. I really do think, like, Doug, honestly, like, if the Chargers would have taken Joe Latham as a right tackle, because he's a J.C. Latham, because he's been a right tackle, they need a left tackle. So the only question I have is, like, I think they should have took, Olamiwu
Olu Fashanu, yeah.
Thank you, Fashanu.
Got you, bro.
Fashanu was who they should have taken because he has the highest upside at left tackle, and Joe Alt was off the board. I would have liked if the Chargers, if they were going to take a lineman, take J.C. Latham, right tackle, plug and play, solid. He's 6'6", 360. But they need a left tackle, so I this might mean that they think, hey, he can convert over to left tackle and ball out there. But they needed, that was the pick that they needed the most. They needed line help for a long time, so they addressed it finally.
Yeah. I think this solidifies that they still want to see what Will Levis can do, especially they've got a new regime there this year, so I guess that coach, they want to fill out what's already on that roster, and then from there probably evaluate what needs to change going into the next season. If you're a Titans fan, it's not the sexiest pick, and there's probably a million things that you would have rather had. Maybe another quarterback because you don't like Will Levis, maybe some more weapons for him. But I think Titans fans got to understand that you're probably looking at a 1 to 2 year build right now to get back to being hyper competitive, especially with the loss of Derrick Henry in the offseason.
Yeah, man. I want to jump into the comments just really quickly here. Next topic is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles, man. Shout out to Little G Griffin, man. I appreciate you. I see you in the comment section a lot of my videos, brother. Thank you so much. He says, I'm a big fan of Eagles 2024 season better. Eagles new edge linebacker draft. Okay, so you would like them to get an edge linebacker, maybe draft someone from Georgia, Alabama, Texas, Oklahoma, and you lost a family member. Bro, my condolences, man. I'm very sorry for your loss, man. Very, very sorry for your loss. Moving on to our next topic, man, it's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. Quinion Mitchell. Now, I had in my, again, super duper wrong mock draft. I had Kool-Aid McKinstry. We had Kool-Aid McKinstry, who's super dope. He's probably going to go the top of the second round, I'm thinking.
Hold on. Did we just jump a whole bunch of people? Or you just want to talk Eagles right now?
Yeah,
we're going
back to the okay. Yeah, once we're done with the Eagles, we're going to take it back to Atlanta.
No worries. I just want to make sure I'm following you.
Oh, yeah, my bad. But with the Eagles, man, I like the Quinion Mitchell, guys. 18 passes deflected. Now, the feedback on that is he's only $175. This guy's not.
He's a $196.
He's almost
$196.
Yeah, you're thinking about Wiggins. Wiggins got length, but he's light. Quinion Mitchell is 196. He's solid 6 foot, 196, 195, somewhere in there.
I see. Okay, I got you. Yeah, no, I was talking about the Eagles. They got they had drafted Quinion Mitchell.
Yeah, that's who we're talking about.
Kim Mitchell. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. What do you guys think about that pick, man? You think that's going to work out, or?
I think your mock, Doug, was probably right in the sense that, like, I thought Quinion Mitchell would have been gone by then, but he's the best corner in this draft, in my opinion. He's physical. He went to Toledo. A lot of people didn't see him play, but he went to the Senior Bowl and was shutting people down that went way ahead of him. So saying that to say that pick, in my mind, made the most sense for the Eagles there. They've had some issues with their secondary. They've had a lot of secondary, like, revolving the last few years. This gives them a guy. I mean, and again, he's not like a Jalen Ramsey, Pat Surtain, Sauce Gardner. He's not like those guys, but he is a guy that's like a Darius Slay that'll be a big physical, shut people down. I think he had 6 picks over the 2 years. Only had 1 pick this last year, but he had 5 the previous year, which means he can pick it off. It's just people stop throwing at him as much. So I think that's a good in that Vic Fangio defense. I think he's like a good corner for that system.
Yeah, I love it, man. I think there seems to be nightmares with last year's James Bradberry. You know what I mean? He missed some key plays. And James Bradberry, he has a lot of good football left, man. It's Philly, man. You know, it's not a super patient city. They're in win now mode, right? So next topic is going to be, and what I thought was going to be Dallas Turner to the Atlanta Falcons. They shocked the freaking world. Probably in my opinion, this is the biggest shocker of the whole draft.
Easily.
Michael Penix to the Atlanta Falcons. Michael Penix. I look, we got 64 people here. Comment below. Are you shocked? Are you angry at this? What are your thoughts, man? Soup, let's start with you, man. What do you think about this pickup?
I didn't have him mocked here at all. I had him going a little bit lower, maybe possibly an early day 2, but just based off of the need at quarterback for some of these teams that were sitting at 11, 12, and 13. I thought for sure he was going to go in that range. So when Atlanta took him, I was like, oh, they just messed up everybody's board. They just messed up a whole bunch of people's board, but then they also made a bunch of people's night because it forced people to change their plans. So players that we thought were going to go a little bit earlier kind of hung around a lot later because these teams now had to pivot and, come up with backup plans. So here's the thing. I don't hate the pick. I don't love the pick because of what they did in the offseason with Kirk Cousins and how much guaranteed money that they just gave him. Yes, it's a 3-year deal, but if you look at it, it's essentially a 2-year deal. They do have outs next year that aren't going to be that team friendly, but the friendly out is going to be after that second year on the deal. Now, I'll preface it with this. Mike and I, we've talked on this show ad nauseum about the young quarterbacks and how the league is not a patient league because it's a bottom line business. And ideally, you would love your young quarterback to be able to sit behind a pro, learn how to play the game and stuff like that. From that perspective, I like this move for Michael Penix, but given his already age right now, if you are Atlanta and you're thinking, hey, I took him at 9, so you got to give him top 10 compensation, right? Do you want to sit him for 2 years? Are you going to be able to when Kirk Cousins inevitably does what Kirk does, right? Like Kirk is going to get you some numbers. He's going to play decent ball, but then he's going to have a couple games that make you go, what the F? Why is this guy playing for us? Are they going to stand pat and continue to push him out there, or are they going to throw Michael Penix out there to the wolves? I don't, because of Michael Penix's advanced age, and he's not like an old man, but for the game of football, you don't want your first NFL career start as the face of the franchise. You don't want that at 26. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, like if they sat him for 2 years, he'd be 26, probably getting ready to go 27, somewhere around that age.
Yeah, he'd be 25 starting the season and then turning
26. Yeah, it just seems really late. So from that aspect, I don't like the pick. But it was a shock to the whole league. It was actually a shock to Kirk Cousins and his agent, and so much so that his agent publicly commented like, hey, we didn't know anything. Atlanta did not tip this when we were doing our visits, when we were talking about coming and playing in Atlanta. This was not a topic of discussion, them taking a quarterback. So I think it's fair to say that Kirk Cousins' camp is shocked and pissed at the same time because they know, hey, his time is very, very limited. And he may not be the starting quarterback by Thanksgiving. So we'll see what happens. It's an interesting pick. I like Michael Penix as a prospect. There are some things about his game and just him being a left-handed quarterback. Mike and I talked about this yesterday. It's not as simple as flipping a playbook. There's some philosophies in terms of what you have to be able to do in terms of a front office organization, a coaching organization, making sure it kind of flips what your weak and your strong side are. And just a lot of these players have been playing, with traditional weak and strong sides. They run their routes. They do all of their movements, their pulls and stuff like that with a lot of muscle memory, reprogramming their brain to do that the opposite way. This isn't Madden, right? Just hit the L trigger or the right trigger to flip your play. It's not as easy as that. But I like Raheem Morris as a coach. I think he's learned a lot these last few years from Sean McVay and the Los Angeles experience. And even before that, he had tons of prior coaching experience. I think if there's anybody that's going to take his time and be patient and try to give them all the tools to succeed right there in Atlanta, I think it's going to be Raheem Morris. This is a pick that should pan out, that will probably, I would like to say it's going to age like wine instead of milk, but it really depends on what they do between now and when he takes over as the franchise QB.
Yeah. I love that, man. I love that. Yeah, it's gonna be exciting, man. And there's a huge bag. There's a lot of money that's on Kirk Cousins, man. And me personally, if I could predict, not that my mock draft, I have any right to be predicting anything, but it's America's free country. I say what I want. I could see a Jordan Love type situation. And maybe 2 to 3 years. What do you guys think, Mike? What do you think about that?
Yeah, man, I like it. Like this is definitely a disruptive thing for the entire draft. Again, I think Michael Penix. I heard Daniel Jeremiah talk yesterday, and one of the things he said is there is teams that have Michael Penix Jr. as high as 2 on their board for quarterbacks, and I think Falcons were clearly one of those teams. Right? They had Daniels and they had Penix. I think it was their order. So I think that they were targeting him probably. They knew that they could get him there because nobody was expecting him to get a quarterback. I was hoping he fell really to the Broncos. And I thought it would have made a lot more sense for them to take a defensive player because their defense to have a head coach who's a defensive coordinator needs a lot of work. So like the rest of their draft should be strictly defense, in my opinion. But saying that to say, like, I do think Michael Penix will be an absolute monster. He's, again, Soup hit it on the head. Like that COVID year, a lot of these prospects are a little bit older than you would like them to be. So by the time he starts, he'll probably be 25, 26. But it also gives them some injury insurance is my big thing. Kirk Cousins coming off of an injury. He rehabilitated. He'll be good. But again, he did tear his Achilles, right? So I think the worst case scenario gives them insurance in case he's not coming back quite like they would like him to. But at the same time, like definitely going to be a beast in the future.
Absolutely, man. Next topic is going to be the Bears. Now, my mock draft, I had Olu Fashanu, what's called Olu Fashanu. And man, they ended up getting a very, very good receiver by the name of Rome Odunze. Absolute dog, man. One of my favorite receivers in this whole entire draft. I love watching him in the field, man. What do you think that's going to be like for Caleb Williams to be connecting, like throwing touchdowns to him, man? What do you think that's going to be like, guys?
I think the chemistry, if as long as they can find it, and I have no reason for them not to find it, I think that's a dangerous offense, right? Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and Rome Odunze. Here's the thing that I really love about Rome. He is a worker. He is a workaholic. He is dedicated to his craft, and I don't think that there's going to be a player on that offense that is going to outwork Rome in terms of his preparation, in terms of him trying to get, just that 1% better every single day. Here's the thing, too, and I think we've all heard the chatter over the last few months about Caleb and what his actual personality is. And the truth is none of us know him on a personal level.
Yeah.
But if you're one of those people that leans into the fact that maybe he's a little too cocky, maybe he doesn't work as hard as he could work because he's so naturally gifted. This is not me saying this, is what I'm saying. If you lean into that train of thought, there could be maybe some tension behind somebody who, like a Rome Odunze, who comes off as a little bit more blue collar, and he's like, hey, I want to put in the extra reps, I want to put in the work, versus somebody that's kind of been Bright Lights Big City in California, has that major NIL deal, right? Like you're talking, Caleb Williams came into the league a multimillionaire. That's what a lot of people don't understand. This isn't somebody that's like, hey, I got to come and I got to change my life, the life of my family. Like he's already done that. He's going to do it on a larger scale now in the NFL. Like I said, from a pure on paper standpoint, looking at the roster, it's incredible because his route tree, I mean, he can run dang near every single route. He's another one of those receivers that he's not going to burn you over the top, but he's very, very physical at the point of attack. I think if Marvin Harrison Jr. isn't in this draft, Rome is my number one receiver in this draft. It's a funny pick for the Bears, not in the way that it's a bad pick. It's just a funny pick because this is a team that has 4 picks in the draft. So if there was ever going to be a team that was going to trade down, I thought for sure it was going to be there. There was reports, Diana Rossini was reporting all morning that there were several teams interested in trading up into the top 10, my Los Angeles Rams being one of them. This is the spot that I thought that they were going to be able to come up and get. And I thought for sure that is what the Rams were going to do, is that Sean McVay was going to make his first round pick, and it was going to be Rome Odunze, and we were going to shock everybody. So I'm a little peeved by this, but at the same time, I also don't know what it would have cost for us to come up there. Just like I said, a little bit shocked. I think we can assume whenever the Bears' next pick is, they're not sticking there. They're trading back because they need to get a few more picks out of this draft.
I agree. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're going to continue on the show. Folks, we're only at pick number 9, and next team we're going to talk about is going to be the New York Jets. And man, is there a lot to say about the Jets. Hey, you see what kind of hat I'm wearing. We're going to talk about it.
Vikings.
That's right.
Yeah, they traded.
That's right. Thank you, Soup. I appreciate it. We're talking about the Vikings next. I got a quick 20 seconds for you guys. This is sponsored by the Jank Barbecue. If you guys do want to make a purchase from the best barbecue in the state of Texas, no matter where you're from, all you gotta do is click the link, and it's American made, Texan made, best barbecue in Texas. And then once we come back, we're gonna talk about Skull Nation, the Vikings. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the best barbecue in the state of Texas, the Jank. Now this barbecue is in 4 delicious flavors, and they got some of the best dry rub in America. Guys, if you live in the state of Texas, in any HEB, you can now find the best barbecue in Texas on the shelves. no matter where you're at, all around the world, you can take and place an order down below right now in the description of this video. And guess what? It gets the Doug Smith cosign. Because, hey, y'all know, I don't play when it comes to barbecue. Place that order right now. Man,
I'm about to order me some of that.
Man, the Jank Barbecue, guys, the link is down below. Let's talk about these Minnesota Vikings. JJ McCarthy. I'm going to start this one off if y'all don't mind. I'll be honest with you. I felt he was very Zach Wilson 2.0. I felt that he was the handoff champion. I hope I am wrong. I hope I am embarrassed by this take when we look back 6 months from now. I'm just going off what and then there's no attack on him as a person. This is only what I see on tape. A first round pick on JJ, like this guy, take a fifth rounder, maybe a fourth. It just make sense, guys. Make it make sense. JJ McCarthy to the Vikings, man. What are your guys' thoughts, man?
Yeah, so realistically, man, like I didn't want JJ McCarthy with the Broncos. I think I'm a big person that thinks coaching matters, right? And I think Kevin O'Connell is one of the best coaches in the NFL when it comes to working with the quarterback. And the thing that I really talked myself into over this draft process is like coaches were raving about JJ McCarthy. Like there was some ownership of some scouts that were like maybe 50-50. Coaches love him. And the thing I liked is he did not fight what he was asked to do, right? Like they won a national championship. They had a game where they ran the ball 36 times in a row. And the fact that this man can suck up the pride, because there's not a throw from hearing about his workouts, his pro day, you're seeing his pro day and stuff like that. There wasn't throws he was not able to make. He just wasn't asked to make those because their offensive line is consistently the best in the country at Michigan, and that they consistently have a good run again with Jim Harbaugh. So I feel like this is the perfect marriage of a quarterback and a team, and I feel like he's going to ball out. I mean, like Kevin O'Connell had Josh Dobbs looking like a Pro Bowler at a point last year, and he didn't know the plays. You know what I'm saying? So I think JJ McCarthy, a young quarterback prospect, he's 21 years old. Him and Caleb Williams, like the two youngest. He's 21. He can sit for a little bit this year if they need him to learn the offense, but he can step in and play. And I think they'll have to put a little more around him as far as running because of that system he's used to. But I have no reason to doubt Kevin O'Connell. I think he's the best coach when it comes to developing these QBs and getting them game ready.
Yeah. I can tell you this, it's probably not the pick that a lot of Minnesota Vikings fans wanted. I have to go talk my dad off a ledge right now because he's ready to go play in traffic because of this pick. And this is coming from like a Michigan fan. Me and my dad are both big Michigan fans. This is not a
dad is a lifelong Vikings fan, right?
Lifelong Vikings fan. And he, this is not what he wanted. This isn't what he wanted for Father's Day, Christmas, his birthday, none of this stuff. So he's furious right now. I hope for his sake that JJ can get coached up the way that Mike is saying. The crazy thing is they let Kirk Cousins go, and they obviously let Kirk Cousins go. And when I look at JJ McCarthy, I see a younger Kirk Cousins, like this
more athletic too.
Yeah, slightly more athletic Kirk Cousins. But like that's when I look at his NFL comp, that's what I think it is. This is Kirk Cousins 2.0. So you get the similar player, and I think not enough is being said. I don't want to be all negative about him. I think, Mike, you hit a good point. Not enough is being said about his mental toughness and the ability for him to humble himself and tuck his pride. There's a lot of quarterbacks that would have been like, no way, I got to make it to the league. I need to make some throws, coach. Like, you got to let me showcase my arm, especially knowing that this is the year that I'm coming out. And the fact that you never heard him complain, you never heard him a peep out of him. He was totally bought into the game plan and whatever the coaches wanted to do. If they asked him to hand the ball off 50 times, 30 times, whatever, he never complained. He just soldiered on. And you got to give him credit as the captain of that ship over there at Michigan. He led them well. And so if nothing else, right, I think he's a good culture fit for what the Vikings are trying to do. I think him walking into a situation where they have a pretty solid offensive line and they just acquired Aaron Jones, who, if you guys watched Aaron Jones in the playoffs, looks like he still has some juice in that leg, even if only for a year. I think that's going to help ease the burden. And then, Justin Jefferson, it's not a bad consolation being able to throw to a receiver of his caliber. Jordan Addison looked like he was coming on in the season as well. So I think he's got some good options, probably more than what he's used to in terms of receiving, because it's not like there's been prolific receiving talent at Michigan. But I'm curious to see what Kevin O'Connell is cooking up over there with the Vikings. It's a solid pick. Probably nothing home, to write home to your mom about. Not the sexiest of picks, but it'll be one of those ones we just gotta wait and see on this one.
Yeah, absolutely, man, dude. I'm right there with you, man. To talk about another couple more picks, man. The Olu pick, Fashanu. As a Miami fan, I hate it, man, because they know that, hey, we're bringing them edge rushers. And Olu is, I can't say enough good things about him, man. Olu Fashanu could have been a top 5 pick in last year's draft.
100%.
That's how good he is. And you know what's dope, man? He comes from a great family, a very loving family. You saw his draft reaction where, you know what I mean? All his family was there, but education is mad important. So he went back, got that degree. You know what I mean? And hey, it took and it paid off and everything. But yeah, the next one I want to take a talk about is Bo Nix. And Mike, I'll let you take it over, man, because you are a Knicks fan, right?
I like how I'm a Michael Penix fan. I know what y'all meant, but no, man, I think Sean Payton fell in love with him. I knew this was like the easiest quarterback to mock to a team because of how much everybody kind of quote unquote compared his game to Drew Brees as far as accuracy. And the reality is he's accurate. And again, you can't be mad about the things the quarterback was asked to do. He balled out 4,500 yards, 45 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And I think the fact that he could hold on to the ball, like he doesn't turn the ball over, is a good thing. Is a good thing. But I haven't been a huge fan of him. Again, he's an older quarterback as well. He's the same age. He's literally the same age as Zach Wilson. So like, think about that. We just traded for Zach Wilson. They're the exact same age. Stidham, I think, is a year older than both of them. So we have a pretty young quarterback group comparatively, but he's an older prospect that I don't think has a good upside. But I just think that Sean Payton wanted somebody that's going to do exactly what he wants him to do, put the ball he wants him to do, and I think he'll do that. So we'll see. I'm not happy about the pick. I was hoping we traded down, added a second round pick, and then I think we could have got Bo Nix later in the first round and still added a pick. But I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. Personally, man, I had you guys taking and getting a few other quarterbacks, man. I mean, I did not like this pick. And I'll say this. Can we talk about Austin Reed and how he's one of the best quarterbacks in this draft who probably doesn't need to develop a whole lot? I mean, when it comes to yards, don't quote me on this. He might be second out of all these quarterbacks as far as most thrown yards, and actually led all of college football in throwing yards, I think, a season or two ago. And we all know Western Kentucky is cranking out NFL quarterbacks, man. They've been cranking them out. Personally, I felt they could have got him in round 3. Maybe Broncos could have took the best player off the field. Off out of this draft at that point. But yeah, I'm not a fan. But again, I hope I eat crow. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong, man. But we'll see what happens, man. Broncos fans are some of the best fans out there, man. I was really shocked. Moving on to the next pick, man. Brock Bowers to the Raiders. Say that there real quick.
Doug, I don't understand this pick because last year they drafted Michael Mayer. This offseason they signed Harrison Bryant, and then they drafted Brock Bowers. So it's just like they need a quarterback badly. I know they were really hooked on Michael Penix from what we're hearing as their second quarterback besides Daniels. But like, what are they going to like? Is it going to be like Devontae Adams and three tight ends on the field? Like, I'm confused.
Yeah, no, bro, I'm right there with you, man. Soup, man, what do you think about this pick, man?
I think this is just a case of them going with what they, according to their big board, this is BPA. This is best player available who was left on their board. And let's not downplay Brock Bowers, right? Like, I don't want anybody to think like, oh, we don't like Brock Bowers. I think it's just a strange situation that he's walking into. Now, when stepping into the situation, is he the best tight end? Like, could you argue that he's already the best tight end in that room? Maybe. We'll see. But it does give them, once again, it's another weapon that they can get to, whoever's going to be playing under center for them. It's another thing, another piece of the puzzle for them to work with. It's going to give them a little bit of versatility. I wonder, does this mean that offensively, and don't get me wrong, I think they're Luke Getsy is there, so I don't have a lot of faith in what they're doing offensively. But, maybe they're going to be running a lot of 12 personnel, so they just need more and more tight ends. That's the only thing that I can figure. But like I said, this just looks like a case of BPA. Good player, interesting landing spot. Bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off.
Whew, love it. And bold move. In fact, it was. Next pick was Talisi Fuaga. Love that pickup, man, for the Saints. I love that pickup. You talk about a guy who is the human version of a kamikaze, except he ain't unaliving himself, man, but he is unaliving the competition. This is a guy who is going to just throw his whole body at you, man. He is the epitome of a Samoan or a Polynesian warrior football player. I don't know if he's Samoan or not, but he's all that, bro. I love this pick, man. I'm jealous.
This is let me tell you something. This is while Doug is coming unfrozen, this is a Dennis Allen's please save my job pick. That's exactly what this is. Because we saw their quarterbacks and stuff kind of getting murked and messed around with. This is, trying to make the most out of a bad situation with Derek Carr. Let's get him some protection and see if maybe his decision-making slows down a little bit and he stops throwing the ball to the other team. That's what this pick really seems like to me, but it's a solid pick for the New Orleans Saints. I don't hate it. Mike?
Yeah, man, I think he's one of the better tackles in the draft, more physical, pro-ready. They need 2 tackles. You can't draft 2 tackles with 1 pick, but this is a guy that looks like 2 tackles, 6'6", 336. He's a beast, and I think he's a guy that's going to come in and help set the culture for these fellas. And I think it's I think it's a layup pick. That was a phenomenal pick they made. They didn't overthink it. They saw you could really argue he was the best player available. He was absolutely the best tackle available at this point. And I think that's going to pay off for them a lot in the long run.
Cool. Well, that next pick, man, was the Indianapolis Colts. They're selecting the edge from UCLA, Laiatu Latu, and I really like this kid in the process. I know he's had some health concerns, especially with the stuff that was going on with his neck. There's a lot of people that are leading up to the draft. A lot of analysts are suspecting that this could be a short-lived career, right? He's probably not going to be a 10-year player. They're probably banking between 5 to 7 years on him. But if you get 5 to 7 years of absolute dominance coming off the edge, I think he's definitely one of the more gifted edge rushers in this draft. He has a lot in his toolbox. Very, very powerful, but in terms of his finesse moves, being able to swim around opponents and stuff like that, I really liked how relentless he was getting after the ball and getting after the quarterback and stuff like that. I think it's a solid pick for them. And I don't know if you actually got to see Chris Ballard after the pick, but apparently Chris Ballard and Mark Davis now share the same barber. It's absolutely atrocious what's going on.
It was diabolical. That was real nasty work, man. I didn't think he was gonna let him live, but I thought he was gonna let him live. But I saw him. This man came in looking literally like Chucky, dog. I agree with you though. He's 6'5", almost 270. He's a monster, man. And it's a pick I like a lot. I think that adds that physical presence. They've had a history, after Dwight Freeney, et cetera. Like they had a history of having a physical line like DeForest Buckner, et cetera. And I think he just adds to that culture. And then that'll lead to the next pick, man. Like that'll lead to the next pick. The Seahawks, I know, in division rival for y'all, picked arguably the best D tackle in this draft with Byron Murphy II. What are your thoughts on that one, man?
As having to play him twice a year, I don't love it, but I think based off of the moves that we made in this offseason, right, where we re-signed Kevin Dotson, brought in Jonah Jackson, moved Steve Avila to center the interior, which is exactly where he's going to be trying to rush from. That's a lot of beef right there in the middle. So we should be okay from that aspect. But I think it's a good fit for Seattle for 2 reasons. One, because now I can get every single person that was mocking him to the Rams to replace Aaron Donald to shut up, because there is no replacing an Aaron Donald. I don't care how high you are on him as a player. He's not Aaron Donald. He's not going to be Aaron Donald. So, 1, that's a good pick because I don't have to hear about it. But 2, Seattle has been really trying to get pressure from their defensive front for a long, long time. He's going to, finally give them some solid pressure on the interior, give those edges time to work. They already have a pretty nasty secondary. This is definitely a McDonald pick. You can tell there's a new coach in Seattle. This was totally a move for him. They're going to be a problem, right? Like I think what we're seeing happening in the NFC West, they're going to be a problem. This is a really, really solid pick. I like it for them as a football fan, hate it for them as a division rival.
Yeah, I mean, that dude, he's active. He's a bowling ball. He reminds me a little bit of the D tackle y'all drafted last year, if we're being realistic, or like a Hargrove, like a Javon Hargrove type. He's in that 4-3. He's going to eat because they have D tackles that usually can rush the passer. And I believe, if I'm not wrong, they brought Leonard Williams back from New York.
Yeah, I think they did bring him back. Yeah, so
having those two lined up next to each other is going to be.
If your interior is not set and you are playing the Seattle Seahawks, they're going to give you fits all night.
Absolutely. I'm back, guys, man. I don't know what happened, man. I paid all my bills. I don't know what happened.
We thought you had to take a break to eat some barbecue sauce, brother. I was
trying to get some Jake barbecue. That's what it was.
There it was. There you go. Quick barbecue break.
And I don't know what happened. I'm like, yo, what happened, man? I got 60-something people. I was, boy. And God is good. All right, so we were on Seattle. What we talking Vikings next?
Yeah, we're talking about the Minnesota Vikings trading with the Jacksonville Jaguars to swing back around and acquire edge rusher Dallas Turner from Alabama, which I thought was a cold move, considering that they moved Danielle Hunter, let him go sign with the Texans this offseason. I think this is about as good of a replacement that you could get. So heck of a move by them to swing back around at 17 and get him.
Man, I heard people comparing him to Javon Curse, Doug, like Javon Curse comparisons. I mean, again, like sometimes we get hype and stuff like that. I think he's a guy that's going to come in. Alabama produces defensive menaces under Nick Saban. He's going to be I think I am a betting man. My money on defensive rookie of the year is going to go towards Dallas Turner this year. In my opinion, I think he's going to absolutely dominate. He's going to be set up to eat this year.
Man, I love that. Next guy I want to talk about is Amarius Mims. I'm jealous of this pick, but when you have a quarterback like Joe Burrow, you got to make sure he is protected. And Amarius Mims is with feet and agility like a cat and the upper body of a polar bear. Man, is he an absolute DAWG, a dog, man? Quite literally, man. I love this pickup for them.
This pick, I don't know what's going on with Doug tonight.
And this is a great pickup for the Bengals. This because the rest of them are wrong on my mock draft.
I think it's a feast or famine pick, Doug. I think it's a feast or famine pick because he's when he's on the field, absolute monster. I think he could arguably be the best tackle in his class when he's on the field, but he's hasn't played a lot of football because of injuries. But that lets you know how talented he is. The fact that he's missed a lot of games, and he still got drafted as a top 20 pick.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. And hey, with modern medicine and some of the best physicians and doctors out there, man, hopefully they could get him right, man, and get him rocking, because he's in fact that guy. And then we got the Rams. Suit, man, talk to me, man. Jared Goff.
So, well, let me tell you guys something. The last time that the Los Angeles Rams had a first round pick, they weren't the Los Angeles Rams. They were the St. Louis Rams. I was not a father yet, period. Was childless out here living life, taking naps in the middle of the day, reckless, right? I am so happy with this pick, number one. Two, that we didn't trade out of the first, because there was a fear after we didn't trade up that I'm like, man, they're not going to like how this board is falling to them, and they're going to totally back out of the first round, and I am not going to get to see a first round pick this year. But Jared Verse falling down to the St. Louis Rams, man, I don't think I could have scripted this any better. And with Sean McVay being the head coach, I am shocked that it's not an offensive player here. But man, I'm so happy that it's Jared Verse. This is a quick, powerful edge rusher. Like, you go back and watch his tape, it is literally just footage of him taking tackles and pushing him into the lap of the quarterback over and over and over and over again. He has a really, really keen sense of where the ball is at all times. Anytime that ball comes out, whether it's caused by him or somebody else, like he has this like sixth sense about ball is on the ground, and he's always around the football. I think that he's a bit more stout in the run than what he gets credit for. But finally, now I think Los Angeles has some bookend edge rushers, right? They went and got Byron Young last year, and he played well. He finished third in sacks for defensive rookies last year. And now you go ahead and you complement that with Jared Verse. I think this could be, hopefully a franchise star for us. We never know what's going to happen. But man, I'm overwhelmed with the pick, man. I think the only negative thing that I can say about the Jared Verse pick is he's not going to get to experience what it's like playing next to Aaron Donald and getting that Aaron Donald boost for your rookie year. So I feel like if Aaron Donald was still in the league, yeah, Mike, I'd have to put my money on Jared Verse as rookie of the year, because I don't know how you're going to stop him with all that power. That's a guy that probably walks away with 15 to 16 sacks his rookie year with Aaron Donald playing in the middle.
Yeah, and I'll add this in there real quick. His bull rush, because think about Jared Verse, he could dip his shoulder and get underneath you and beat you with that speed. I mean, his left knee nearly touching the ground. I mean, it's dope, right?
Good
spin move is great, but the bull rush, I'm curious what he squats, man. I'm curious what his workouts look like, because man, he is high level, man. I remember watching him, and he had jumped over the line and like blocked a field goal, I believe it was, and I was like, yeah, he's going in the first round. He is that guy. We touched a little bit on a few teams there. We talked about the Dolphins early. Chop Robinson again absolutely shocked me. I thought we were gonna get D tackle. We talked about the Steelers as well, and then we talked about the Eagles. Let's talk about Brian Thomas to the Jaguars, man. How does this elevate the Jaguars, man? Do you guys like this pick for them?
Man, yeah, that's super. He knows, because we were talking. I was like, I said Brian Thomas has to be going to Jacksonville. Like this man, if it wasn't that offensive rookie of the year is likely a quarterback award most of the time, really, right? Like I think he has the potential to be the rookie of the year. I think with Trevor Lawrence, he'll eat. He'll absolutely eat. I think he's going to be better than Calvin Ridley in a year. Calvin Ridley produced for them last year. He got his bag, and we're always shouting out players getting their bag, but like Brian Thomas is literally who the Jags needed, but outside of those big three, right? But I think he's a phenomenal fit for them. I think him with Trevor Lawrence, LSU is a wide receiver factory, obviously, like Justin Jefferson, Malik Neighbors in this draft as an example. They're a wide receiver factory. Odell Beckham, like they've been putting him out, and I think he's going to be another line. Like dude, 6'4", 205, ran a 4.40. I mean, like he runs every route. This is one of my favorite picks in the draft. That's why Super's like, Mike should hit this. Like, and I was before this pick, I called this pick, and I think he's going to absolutely eat this year. I think he'll go over 1,000 yards as a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What I liked about him a lot, I like this, man, is that dude, he was tied for first place with Jalen Coker over at Holy Cross for most receiving touchdowns. Don't quote me on the number. I think it was like 15 or 16 or something like that. So the guy, he can create plays. He can get separation. Not a super flashy guy, but he is very consistent, man. I feel like we know what we're getting. You really know what you're getting. Like Marvin Harrison, you know what you're getting. Roma Donza, you know what you're getting. A few guys where I'm like, okay, I want to see how this plays out. Neighbors, what does that look like in the NFL? But Brian Thomas, man, he played like an NFL veteran already. Like, I love the pick.
Yeah, like, and I just looked because I was like, to make sure I was wrong. I don't want to insult Brian Thomas Jr. He ran a 4.33 40. So 6'4", 205 running a 4.33 is absolutely bonkers. And you said something that that is very crucial. Like this goes to these arguments, like Julio arguments and stuff. Like Julio was a great receiver, but he did not have a nose for the end zone, right? Yeah. It's just a reality. If you look at statistically speaking, he didn't get in the end zone. Brian Thomas has a nose for the end zone, and if that can carry over, that will carry over from college. That's going to be a huge boost for their offense.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, bro. I'm trust me, man. I'm right there with you, man. Next pick I want to talk about is Detroit. Man, the rich get richer, man. Not only is the draft in Detroit, man, they ball out and they get another phenomenal DB in Terrion Arnold, defensive back to Alabama. He captured our heart at the NFL Combine, man, where he's basically said that, hey, Mom, I'm doing this for you. This is for us, Mom. One man, that warmed my soul taking and seeing that, man. But dude, talk to me about what this means to potentially one of the best secondaries in the whole NFL, Mike.
Yeah, man. I think a couple things. One big thing is I think the biggest thing in this, the biggest reason I love this pick is the fact that he gets reunited with Brian Branch, and the secondary they had when him and Brian Branch played together went to a national championship. They made it deep in the playoffs, so they have that chemistry already on the back end. That's somebody that can help him. He's already a smart football player, a solid corner, but having somebody that you played with already, you know the strengths he has, you know the weaknesses he has, vice versa, and he can help him get sped up. Like rookies coming in with some comfort is a huge thing, and having that say so, and then like Motor City Dan getting linked up with this guy, I think it was an absolute home run.
Love it. I love it, man. Next pick we're going to take and talk about, and we're wrapping it up here, folks. We'll probably wrap up your next 5 minutes just so you guys are aware. But be sure to hit that subscribe button, man. Be a part of Touchdown Nation, man. Whether that's commenting, just watching the stuff, even disliking my videos, man. Be a part of it, man. Hey, we get into arguments and debates too. We ain't afraid to get dirty, but man, I love and appreciate you guys. No matter what your opinion is, we value you. Also, if you want some of the best barbecue down below, the Jank Barbecue, you can see that link down below. Check them out, man. That's some, that ain't good barbecue. Even if you're diabetic, they got something for you, man. This is great stuff. Man, Jordan Morgan, I ain't gonna lie, very good. I thought he would slide a little bit to the second round, and man, the Packers, man, they're reloading, man. They could have potentially I mean, very potentially, you know, made it to a Super Bowl last year, and they shocked the world with already what they did. So, and they're still in rebuilding. Jordan Love is firing on all cylinders. Absolutely love this pick. Next guy I want to talk about is Graham Barton for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers center. I ain't gonna lie, I thought Jackson Powers.
Yeah, that's right.
Jackson Powers.
Jackson Powers. Yes, thank you guys. I was I'm trying to get his name right. Jackson Powers Johnson. That's what it is. I thought he would be the first because he is my favorite, but maybe I'm just a little biased because he's a Dolphins fan. But I thought he'd be the first off. But Graham Barton is a DAWG. I mean, them two are easily the best centers in this year's draft. Love that pickup for the Buccaneers, man. You know, obviously, you know, Ryan Jensen, former CSU Pueblo Division II college football legend. You know, that was, you know, he's no longer there anymore, you know, to my knowledge. So he's, you know, they're needing to fill some big shoes, man. And Graham Barton, he got it.
He's versatile, man. Like I think one of the biggest things I think when you have multiple needs on your line, you can fill somebody like this because he played tackle last year, he's played center, and he's played guard. So he literally can play every position on the line. So I think having somebody that versatile coming in, I think he could easily step in and play center or guard and be a Pro Bowler within a year or two.
Right.
Along with Jackson Powers, but I think that was a hell of a.
And by the way, this doesn't take Jackson Powers off the board for them, Mike. You pointed out it's a good point, right? Like he's played up and down that line. So if you still really like Jackson Powers and you like Graham Barton better somewhere else, there's a good chance that he could be a good fit at either a guard or a tackle position, and you could still go and get a Jackson Powers and rebuild your line pretty much overnight. So it's a good pick for them. I'm kind of like you, Doug. I like the pick. It's not who I thought would go first at this particular position, but I can't be mad at the pick either.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Moving on to next pick, we're gonna take and talk about Cardinals again. Man, they're doing some big things, man, from Marvin Harrison Jr. now to one of the best edge rushers. I believe it's the third edge rusher off the board in this draft. So that is
Darius Robinson is probably not going to play edge for the Arizona Cardinals. He's probably going to move inside for them.
Really?
Yeah. They have him projected more as a defensive tackle in their defense. So he's going to move inside for the Arizona Cardinals, and I think that's fine for his build and his speed. Like having that kind of power with that kind of speed and fluidity on the interior, that's exactly what you want. You need somebody that's going to push that pocket and not allow these quarterbacks to step up, and he's going to be a problem. Like that, it's such a good pick for them, and I hate it because once again, this is another team that's in my division. I got to deal with him.
Yeah, he's 6'5", 296, Doug, and like he's really a 3-4 edge. Like he really should be the, like for the Broncos, he was like my number one edge for the Broncos because of, we play a 3-4. He's that run stopper, can take on multiple blocks, but he's somebody that is versatile enough to play 3-4, 4-3D tackle, which is what he'll likely do there. but they can also on a third down move him out to like 4-3 edge in certain situations, and he's gonna never come off the field unless he's tired though.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah, that's a guy, man. Sack machine. And so what's dope is like, hey, God forbid something happens on the edge. He could play the edge, play D tackle. So yeah, nice pickup for the Cardinals, man. I think they could be real scary here in the near future. Moving on to Kansas City Chiefs, man. We don't want to see another freaking three-peat, but I think a lot of us had Xavier Worthy taking and falling at number 28.
As soon as he ran that 40, bro, at the combine, you already knew what it was. As soon as he ran the 40 at the combine, everybody knew what it was.
And they added Hollywood Brown. They got Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy, and they still got Travis Kelce, and they still got Isaiah Pacheco. Like,
you know what that is? Yeah. That's Patrick Mahomes saying, look here, I'm not playing another season thinking and dunking it down the field. I want to throw the deep ball again. That's exactly what that is. He called up Andy Reid. He said, brother, I will buy whatever fast food you want for the entire rest of this year, but you got to get me people that I can throw the ball downfield to. My arm is tired from having to like restrict itself. So like it absolutely is it's a Tyreek Hill replacement. You can slice it any way you want. It's a Tyreek Hill replacement. I don't know if he's going to be as good as Tyreek Hill, but that's his role in this offense is going to be get behind the defense, get behind the safeties, take the top off, let me throw it to you over the middle and just go yard with the ball. Yeah. So yeah, it's a disgusting pick. Good pick for the Kansas City Chiefs. Terrible for the rest of the league.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's put on your Sunday's best when you're facing up against the Chiefs, man. Because out of any team who's ever tried to do a three-peat, they're dang near close, man. So yeah, at this year, man, the energy I'm putting out is stop the Chiefs at all costs. I was hoping they get a punter with this pick. I know that wasn't going to happen, but that'd be hilarious. So just draft punters and long snappers all the way down, but all good. Anyway, moving on to Dallas Cowboys, excuse me. Tyler Guyton coming out of Oklahoma, man. Great pickup for them, man. They're shoring up that O-line. I know a lot of Cowboys fans. It's funny. Most of my friends are actually Cowboys fans, so we like to have a little lighthearted fun, but Tyler Guyton is that guy. He is that guy. Then we got Nate Wiggins, man. What do you guys think about the Nate Wiggins pick, man, of Baltimore, man?
Yeah, that gave me indigestion, man. Like the Ravens don't miss. The Ravens are like that Snoop Dogg meme where they're like, this man don't miss. Like they don't miss. Dude is 6'2", 185. He did bulk up a little bit for his pro day. He played at 176, is what they're saying. Ran a 4.22. So like speed demon, sticky in coverage. I know Miami played Clemson and he suffocated receivers that'll be in the draft in a year. Real smart player. Only thing I do worry about with him is he's had some soft tissue injuries. And sometimes those kind of creep back on you. So hopefully they give him a little bit of time to heal, but I think he'll be an absolute menace.
Him and Kyle Hamilton are about to give people fits because he's just long. You can't throw it over him. And you got to think about that division, right? When you got the Cincinnati Bengals that T. Higgins said he plans to play this year, even though it's going to be for the Bengals. He plans to play this year. Jamar Chase is going to play. Like they got Tyler Boyd and stuff like that in that division. Pittsburgh, the thought is that they're still going to end up making a splash move for a receiver, and they got George Pickens. Like you need somebody that's got some length, and like I said, the fact that he has that kind of length and he can run, that's what makes him super dangerous. But he's got to overcome all those soft tissue injuries. We've seen soft tissue injuries kind of curtail a lot of careers.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. And then again, last two picks, man. Ricky Pearsall to the 49ers. Looks like they're getting ready for a Brandon Ayuk departure. Man, that's terrifying, man. Ricky to the Niners, bro. That's
route running machine, bro. Route running machine. He reminds me, like in terms of him being a route technician. I would say, what's my guy, Julian Edelman in his later years. Like
I was going to say Wes Welker.
Yeah. Wes Welker, Julian Edelman, he's very much in that type of mode where it doesn't matter. The ball's going to him. He's going to run the route better than what you can cover it. You have to be super, super sticky on this kid. And for me, I think this is a guy that they're probably looking at him going to the slot. I would say he's not going to be the one. He's probably going to be a slot demon because the Shanahan / McVay style offense, right? Like, it's permeating the league, and we know Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Doug, your coach, Mike McDaniel, right?
Yeah.
All of them kind of run different versions of this same offense. This is what Sean McVay and Kevin McConnell were doing with Cooper Kupp in his Super Bowl year. I imagine this is kind of the way that they envision the role for Ricky down there in San Francisco. It's a good pick for them. Once again, nightmare to cover. I hate it. I got to see him twice a year now.
Yeah, man. He is the real deal, man. He's gonna be a nightmare. I mean, when it's all said and done, man, some guys maybe at the end of this first round may do better than guys at the beginning of the first round. So, again, absolutely legendary receiver class. It's so cool to see these guys land on teams finally. And then to finish off tonight is the Carolina Panthers, Mr. Xavier Leggett. Man, I love his voice, man. He could definitely be a country singer for sure. But I don't know if you guys have heard Xavier Leggett talk. It's pretty awesome. But yeah, going from South Carolina to North Carolina, he is staying in the Carolinas, man. Immensely talented, a lot of similarities to DK Metcalf. Like this pickup a lot for them. A big physical guy who likes to get fed a lot, man, and really elevated South Carolina Gamecocks, really elevated their offense in a lot of different ways, man. Yeah, what are you guys' thoughts on this, man?
Well, go.
Oh, my bad.
No, go, Mike. Go.
I think that Ladd McConkey would have been a better pick for the offense right now because he can do everything inside, outside, etc. And Xavier Leggett, I think he's going to be good potentially, but if there was a receiver draft in the first one that has the ability to bust, I think it could be him because he's only done it for 1 year. And obviously we don't hope that for anybody. I hope he continues on a trajectory. But it was kind of like Steve Smith actually has been pounding the table for him and is one of his favorite receivers. And one of the things he said, though, was like he played like a guy last year. That was in the last year of his contract. So you kind of wonder how hungry he's going to be. And I don't want, again, no character things. I don't know about any of that or his medicals, but I do know he was 6'3", almost 230, ran a 4.40. He has very strong hands. I think if his route running is a bit limited comparatively to some of these people, like Adonai Mitchell still there, Ladd McConkey still there, etc. His route running is a little bit limited right now. But again, DK Metcalf was the exact same way coming in the league, and he has an unlimited route tree now. So I think they're confident in their coach and they can get him up to speed, and that's a phenomenal safety net for Bryce Young.
Yeah, Mike, you hit it on the head. It's a good pick for Bryce Young. Shows that they still have faith in him. But at the same time, while I don't hate the pick, who is protecting Bryce Young and keeping him upright in Carolina so he can make this throw? That's my question with the Carolina Panthers. You're going to trade back into the first round in a draft that's full of offensive line talent, and we've seen them all up and down the first round. I don't know if maybe they were trying to get back in earlier and they just couldn't because maybe they had their eye on one of these offensive linemen. We'll never know what their board was looking like. Like I said, it's a good weapon for their young quarterback who, that they're probably going to tie themselves to for at least the next 2 to 3 years, assuming, that he has good production. But yeah, you have, like I said, with this guy, with Xavier Leggett, I like him, but the limited route tree kind of scares me right now, especially for a young team with a young quarterback. You would want somebody that's going to be a little bit more versatile, that can do a little bit more, that could be a little bit more quarterback friendly for a quarterback that last year seemed to struggle. You hope that Bryce Young is going to be able to make the leap right and kind of sit and deliver and go back to more of what he was in college. But yeah, it's an okay pick. Like if I had to grade the pick, it's probably a C for me because it fills a need, it checks a box, but there were other needs and probably better fits for what they need in the immediate.
Yeah, I feel
it. A good thing too, though, y'all, is like they have a pick and 7 picks. So like there's offensive tackles and centers like Jackson Powers. This would be a phenomenal landing spot for him. Like I think they can address that there.
Yeah.
But they must have really liked him.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is our show. That's our round one recap. Now, throughout this weekend, I'm going to be releasing, probably 50 to 70 shorts on YouTube or different draft picks and just me authentically how I feel about them. However, if you want to continue on the conversation, follow Mike, follow Soup, follow myself on Twitter. Mike, you're at MWills21. Soup, you're at AC the GDB, and then me, just at Touchdown Doug, man. You guys know where to find us. Also, check me out on Instagram at The Touchdown with Doug Smith, just spelled out. Be sure to hit that subscribe button as well, too. Before we hit you with the outro, we're going to hit you with our sponsor of the show, man. Thank you so much to the Jank Barbecue. Best barbecue in the whole state of Texas, man. I put my money on that, man. It's very, very good, very delicious. And if you're diabetic, they got some for you. You like spicy, you like thick, you like sweet, whatever, man. They have it all, man. Matter of fact, Master P himself actually did a review on it, man. So he co-signs it too, man. We know what we're talking about when it comes to food. That being said, man, we're going to go ahead and hit you guys with our Jank Barbecue commercial one more time, and then we're going to hit you with the outro, and we'll see y'all next time on The Touchdown with Doug Smith. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the best barbecue in the state of Texas, The Jank. Now this barbecue is in 4 delicious flavors, and they got some of the best dry rub in America. Guys, if you live in the state of Texas, in any HEB, you can now find the best barbecue in Texas on the shelves. No matter where you're at, all around the world, you can take and place an order down below right now in the description of this video. And guess what? It gets the Doug Smith cosign. Because, hey, y'all know, I don't play when it comes to barbecue.
Touchdown with Doug Smith, celebrate, that's a new move. Heisman, 2 views, catch him on YouTube. NFL coverage, interviews. Who lose, who win, who lose. Comedy, you choose, it's not about moolah. The QB's like Tua is missing in action. No L's on my shooter. Play it like Marino, it's a gamble like casino. Hungry for it, but you know we still gon' try to feed the beef. Rivalries will lead the conference. Cowboys of the Eagles, will Belichick be a threat? Better check. Tomlin on deck, much respect to the vet. What to expect? Gotta tune in for the rest. Make sure to sub, like, check. At the best, Bad Boy, the sports podcast. For the threat across the north, east, south, in the west. Sitting back clueless, time to tune in. Now another sports center, it's a movement.